Ruben Amorim's focus is definitely on two things, I'd say, this pre-season tour. I'm going to run through exactly what they are in our latest video covering Manchester United's pre-season. How has Bryan Mbeumo settled in? What's happening in training? Anything you should know ahead of the second game against Bournemouth? Let's run through all of that and more in this video. And as always, make sure you do subscribe if you want to watch more, because we're going to be continuing this series all pre-season. Right then, let's get cracking with this one. It's our latest part of the pre-season series. We're looking at everything, all the training videos, all the interviews, all the reports, bringing it all together in one video for you. Don't say I don't treat you well. Please drop a like on this video if you're enjoying it. And let's get into it straight away, all right? What I'm going to do, if you haven't already seen these, I'm going to run through the five, I wouldn't say the biggest talking points, but 5 things I think are worthy of your attention, all right? And I want to focus here on what Amorim himself is focusing on this pre-season, because in this press conference, before the game and after the game against West Ham, he reiterated the exact same thing.
I think in any team, if you see the best teams in the world, you feel the bond between all the players. I think that is really important.
Number 1. Number 2.
It's to build a bond between the players, and that I think we need that really hard. Then the physical aspect. We need to be prepared for the demands of Premier League.
And I've just seen this on multiple occasions in different places. Like pre-season, we could talk about structural issues. We can talk about the central centre-back. We can speak about the fact that Kobe and Ugarte got caught out and the ball in behind. But Amorim's not really focusing on that. And this is something that a lot of sporting fans always said about him. In terms of the importance of the pre-season, the importance of building the bonds, and we talk about the culture, you might say it's boring to keep repeating this, but until you have the foundations in, you have to keep working at it. And clearly, Ruben Amorim is focusing on that. And that's also partly why I'm so in favour of the fact that players who aren't part of the future of this club are being frozen out right now. That helps with this bonding, right? And in terms of the players who are already there, you can tell straight away that Amorim is really happy with what Cunha's doing so far in the United shirt.
He played more or less in the same system in the last club. He's a top player, can play in different positions. He's really loud in the dressing room.
Is he?
He's Brazilian. So I love that on him.
And also, this is what he said after the game against West Ham.
Cunha is that kind of player that can help us. A lot, because he can run with the ball, and that is something that can change the game of.
You know how many times I've been saying that. You're probably already bored about it, but I like what he said there about the contrast. Well, not the contrast in personality, but what he said about Cunha's personality. He's loud, he's boisterous, he's an extrovert in the dressing room, and those sorts of personalities will help the dressing room. But then if you speak about what Mbeumo is like, and he's already said that, and himself, he's like, I'm a little bit sort of reserved, more of an introvert, maybe until I get a little bit more comfortable in my surrounding and he starts opening up. But I don't know why this analogy is in my head, but it is. Like Top Gear, like the reason Top Gear worked wasn't because of the individual personalities of Hammond, Clark and Mays, because they all complemented each other. They were different and they worked alongside each other. And that's what it strikes me as these two lads are, and the personalities that they are going to bring to the dressing room. And next, we're going to be speaking about Bryan Mbeumo. Just want to say a big shout out to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Now, United, you know, they're out in the USA. I guarantee you, they're going to be using some VPNs to watch, I don't know, some Netflix UK, a little bit of BBC. You would say Match of the Day, but there's no games on right now. Now, with Surfshark, it helps you watch some of what you want to, where you want to. Change your location to over 3,000 servers in 100 countries. Access and unblock content apps that don't work in certain countries. If you're abroad on holiday, boom, pop it on your phone, pop it on your iPad. Easy. Done. Genuinely, it's actually quite helpful. And it also helps you stay safe online. You can secure your online data. VPN encrypts your data when you use free public Wi-Fi. It masks your IP. CleanWeb also helps block ads, and it doesn't monitor, track, or store what you do online. And if you haven't used a VPN before, I'd encourage you to use Surfshark. Now, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Use the code UPTV. You can see it on screen. And the link is surfshark.com/UPTV. You get 4 months extra free with that. I use it. I'd encourage you to use it if you haven't already tried it. And if you already use it, well, keep going. You've chosen the right one. So what is going on with Mbeumo, right? I'm going to have to change my clothes. Got another haircut. Incredible what you could do these days. But what is Mbeumo doing? Well, Mbeumo is involved in training, right? We've already seen photos and videos of him in training. So it's not as if he's injured and he's not doing anything and, well, oh my God, when is Mbeumo going to be playing for United? Ruben Amorim has already said, look, he's starting slowly. And effectively, because of everything that went on with the transfer that took too long, he wasn't involved on the grass much with Brentford. I'm not even sure when their actual... I think he was... What was it, a week? Maybe 2 weeks after he went back to Brentford's training ground that the deal was done? Don't quite know. One thing you do know, he's really training that left arm, right? This is what we know, right? So, all jokes aside, he's really training that left arm. He's going to be involved against Everton. Wasn't involved so far. It's not because of anything bad. It's simply because he's behind. And yeah, that's a consequence of the deal being done late. We know that. You know that. Focus on the last 2 points here. The fitness, Ruben's spoken about it there at the start of the video, talking about the bond, talking about the fitness. You can really see it. And it's not even just with players like Cobby, where it's quite visibly obvious. I thought Rasmus Højlund had a turn of pace in that game against West Ham that we hadn't really seen too much. Remember his first goal in the first season? It wasn't his first goal. Against Galatasaray when he ran it from his own half. I got hyped at that point. But Højlund looked good, fitness-wise. Yoro looks sharp. And De Ligt as well is someone I'm going to pick out to say that he just looks a little bit lighter on his feet. And Ruben has reiterated it on more than one occasion about the basics of Premier League footballers, the basics of established elite footballers. You should have top levels of fitness, but United haven't had that. And the fact that that team played against West Ham for 65 minutes before a sub was made is a good indicator of where these levels are. And it should mean that we go into this game against Arsenal, fingers crossed, we look at injuries and stuff like that, in a much better position physically, because that's the basics. If you can't do that, you can't build anything else. And I really want to finish on this point because I consider it really important. Okay? And this is effectively like a warning from Ruben Amorim to those players who aren't currently part of Manchester United's plans, right? This is what he said. He said, I understand that clubs are maybe waiting for the last minute. You know what's going on with Anthony and Real Betis, for example. But they can have a surprise, and I'm ready. I'm ready to receive the players. They have more competition. If you want to play in the World Cup this year, you need to play. So I'm really happy with that because I've got more options. And if they have to fight each other to play, it's perfect. I think it's a really smart call from Ruben Amorim and the right decision. As I said, going back to what he said here, right? Whoops.
I think in any team, if you see the best teams in the world, you feel the bond between all.
You feel the bond. It's why it's important that those players aren't there, but also at the same time, this is kind of trying to shift the leverage away from the players having all the power. Oh, we can just sit there and wait for clubs to come in late in the window and then you can get what you want. No. If you want to play in the World Cup next year. So this applies to Anthony. Probably doesn't apply to Malacia. I don't think he's going to get in the World Cup squad. Who else does it apply to? Anthony and Garnacho, for sure. I like it. I hope it makes a difference. We'll find out, right? We really will find out. But that's the sort of... The stories kind of around the game that I'm seeing, not just from the match itself, because I could have spoken about, well, I've already covered that in the 5 things we learned. We've got our next game coming up against Bournemouth on Thursday at 2:30 in the morning. I'll be covering that. And then we've got Everton on Sunday night, I think, at 10 p.m. And then Man United's final game for the pre-season is against Fiorentina at Old Trafford. And fingers crossed I might actually be there for that game. But you can let me know what you think. Is there anything else you're spotting in pre-season that you think is worthy of a talking point? You can let me know in the comments as you always do.